Yo, what's going on, everybody? We are back with episode 2 of You Know Ball. Still working on our logo. Don't worry, that's gonna be coming soon. But I'm very excited for this episode. We actually have a legitimate episode this time. There's not no introductory thing. This is actually something that's actually happening. So, without further ado, if you hear some noise in the background, I'm watching Milwaukee versus New York. I tried to get this out sooner. I literally did a whole video. I literally had a whole hour video done, and there was no volume. I kid you not, there was no volume, so I couldn't get the video done. I'm extremely pissed off about that, and I really hope that really doesn't show in how I talk about these games, because this would be my second time doing it, and it's not just something that I can just remake in like 2 or so minutes. That took me over an hour to do. So if you see me looking down at my looking down at my phone, I've got some notes written about these games. Just little pointers or things like that. So if I want to talk about something or talk about someone, I have something to talk about outside of just my thoughts of the game and everything like that. So, without further ado, we are going to be going backwards, which means we're going to be starting off with today and finishing off with last Friday. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Welcome to You Know Ball. All right. Eagles versus Bears. Eagles, their offensive struggles continue. I mean, I already knew this. I already knew they were going to struggle on offense. The defense, once again, comes in clutch. The Bears, they got another takeaway this year. Kevin Byard had his 6th interception of the year. I didn't even know Kevin Byard. And then not Kevin Byard. I think it was Kevin Byard. I don't know. But no, it was Kevin Byard. He's in the league. I did not know bro was in the league. But the Bears do just enough to hang on to win. They won by 9. This was just a bad game for the Eagles because they're already on a losing streak, and this is just another game that they were like, okay, that they had to win, because now it's like, okay, now with the Cowboys coming back, like they were on a 3-game win streak, and the Eagles on their own losing streak. Things could be looking bad for the Eagles and in the NFC East. For the Bengals, not the Bengals, but the Bears, this is their second time being above 500 team. Congrats to them. They very well deserve it. They're 9-3, so they're going to be finishing off with a positive record for the first time since the 2017-2018 season, which, if you remember, was the same season that had the double doink. Crazy. But very well worth it for the Chicago Bears. Very happy about them. Now, moving on to Thursday. We've got the Bengals and the Ravens. Great game for the Bengals. Defense caused a lot of turnovers. Bengals offense didn't really convert on those turnovers. They got a bunch of field goals, which if they would have gotten touchdowns on those turnovers, it would have been looking at a completely different game. But Joe Burrow's back. He looks good. He did miss a couple passes, but not all of them were his fault though. But for the most part though, he did look good. The Ravens, oh man, I don't know how to feel about that, man. I really don't know how to feel about the Ravens, because they're just like the Eagles. Like, they're really struggling on offense. Like, they need to get their offense together in order to have a chance in that AFC playoff. So, yeah, hopefully they can get it straight away. Because if they don't, then the Bengals with a healthy Joe Burrow and T. Higgins coming back soon, they might be cooked. Going on to the Chiefs and Cowboys. This was a really good game. I mean, the Cowboys defense really stepped up. After letting up 14 points in the first quarter, the Chiefs didn't score another point until like didn't score again. So like midway through the fourth quarter, the Cowboys offense did their thing. I mean, CeeDee Lamb had a great game. George Pickens had a great game. Javonte Williams had a touchdown. Ryan Flournoy was good. Devontae Turpin had a really great fumble recovery. That was honestly one of the bigger plays of that game. And then Jake Ferguson, he had a pretty good game. The Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, like always. Patrick Mahomes doing Patrick Mahomes things. That's always going to be a given. Travis Kelce doing Travis Kelce things. Rasheed Rice getting things done. He had a two touchdown game. This is his second touchdown game of his career. Both of them happened in this season. So they had a really good game. You know, they scored 4 touchdowns. But, you know, when they needed it most, the defense just couldn't get stops. I mean, Trent McDuffie was getting Trent McCooked the whole game. So yeah, very much need a win for the Cowboys to be seen as a legitimate threat in the NFC. Because yes, they beat the Eagles, but like the Cowboys almost always beat the Eagles, or at least they always seem to split the season series. So we kind of expect to beat the Eagles at least once. You know what I mean? But for us to beat the Chiefs, and that's a team that we really haven't that I haven't seen us beat in recent years. So for us to beat the Chiefs, I see that as a big thing. Now moving on to Packers and Lions. The Lions, a big thing for them is Amon-Ra St. Brown is injured. He's going to be out for at least a couple of weeks, which means he will be out for the Cowboys game. We will see how the Lions adjust to having you know their best offensive player out in the upcoming games. But for the most part, though, they didn't really handle it that well. Like, they seemed to really struggle on offense. I mean, once you stop Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, you know that whole offense, the whole point of that offense just seems to go down. He had 9 carries for 19 yards, 10 targets, 10 receptions for 31 yards. So he was getting locked down. No, that's the first game of the season. He had 20 carries for 68 yards, which still isn't really good production, and 3 receptions for 18 yards, so he couldn't really get much going. And then we look at David Montgomery and what he did. You know, David Montgomery, he had 8 carries for 32 yards, and then receiving at 2 for 16. So if you stop the run game, really, you know, you can mainly, if you can stop the run game and stop like the really long plays, you can, you know, stop them. You know what I mean? So that's what the Lions did. They made the I feel like they made the Lions into a one-dimensional team, and that's what you gotta do against the Lions. You gotta force them into passing the ball, which really isn't their strength without the setup of the run game. Now, I'm not saying that they can't pass the ball, but it's aided by setting up the run play, getting your people in the box, exposing your secondary pretty much. So without that run game and without getting, you know, good yardage on the runs, which, you know, Jahmyr Gibbs, he only had a long of 18, which if Jahmyr isn't breaking off those long runs, you know what I mean, you're pretty much containing him, which is a really good thing. And that's what the Packers did really well this game. So yeah. But the Thursday games were absolutely wonderful outside that Ravens and Bengals game. You know, I'm very excited for next week and, you know, everything else. So moving on to Wednesday, I did watch the Warriors and Rockets game. I didn't type a thing on it though, but just know that I did watch it. I did enjoy the game. I do know that the Warriors did blow a double-digit lead. Curry is out. You know, he will be out for at least a week. That's what the reports are saying. So I'm not too worried about that as a Warriors fan myself. But, you know, we don't necessarily do the best without Curry. So I am kind of worried about that. And with Steve Curry not being the best coach, you know, he does get outcoached pretty easily a lot of the time. So I'm kind of worried on how he will work on that. But moving on to Minnesota and Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City, they played a really phenomenal game. So did Minnesota. I was very disappointed in Julius Randle though. This was a playoff matchup pretty much. And Julius Randle. Now, yes, it is only one game, but let me look at Julius stats because there was one Julius Randle is almost always really inaccurate. He was 2 of 13. He had 10 points. And he was 2 of 13. Yeah, yeah, Julius, come on now, man. You had Nas Reed, you had Terrence Shannon, who I didn't know who he was coming into this game, but now I'm willing to look more into that. He had a really great game, and obviously, Anthony Edwards, he's gonna get his. There were a couple of calls late. There was a call late in the game, with Nas Reed, right, where he cut to the basket. It looked like he was gonna be an easy dunk. It seemed like he got fouled, but no foul was called, right? And then on the other end, Chet Holmgren, he got fouled by Nas Reed because Nas Reed's like, yo, I got fouled. What happened to that, right? So, I mean, that was really costly, but what also was costly for the Minnesota Timberwolves was the missed free throws. I'm looking back at the stats again because I don't necessarily have an exact number, but the Minnesota Timberwolves did have quite a few missed free throws against the Thunder, right? If we're looking at team stats, their free throw percentage, they were 22 or 37, which equals to 59%, whereas the Oklahoma City Thunder, they were 79%. And they only lost by 8. They only lost by 8 points. So if these 22, if at least 30 of the 37 free throws get made, we're looking at a completely different game. You know what I mean? So missed free throws are a really big thing in basketball, especially in a game where there is little error of margin against a certain team, and that team would happen to be the Oklahoma City Thunder, where there's little margin for error. You're either perfect or you're cooked. So, but yeah, Oklahoma City, they clutched it out. They showed that, hey, they're the NBA champion, the reigning NBA champions for a reason, and they moved on to 18-1. Now moving on to the Pistons and Celtics. Now I really enjoyed this game. I'm not necessarily a fan of either team, but I do appreciate good basketball. The Pistons are one of the slower teams. They don't really push the ball that. No, it's the Celtics. It's the Pistons. I don't know. One of the two teams. I forgot. But the Pistons coming into this game, they were on a massive win streak coming into this game, and it did seem like they were gonna end up winning the game. I mean, they were playing a lot better than the Celtics. I mean, for the most part, the Celtics were being carried by Jaylen Brown, right? But really, what happened in the second half is Payne Pritchard and this other dude, Burham. What the fuck the dude's name is? What is the dude's name? I'm at 55. I'm not saying let's say I'm not gonna say his race, but the white boy, number 55. What's his name? What's the dude? Hold on, I'm looking back at it. I'm finna look back at this and tell you his name, right? But he had Baylor, right? Number 55. Great. He was doing good. He went 3 of 5 from the 3-point. Payne Pritchard, he came out clutch when needed to. But really, what really was the story of the second half was, in my eyes, Derek White. I mean, this man, he wasn't necessarily the best in the first half, right? But in that second half, though, he really turned it on, man. And when they needed him most, he did. He had 3 steals and 1 block in that win. I mean, he had he had a couple of cut threes down towards the end of the game. So I thought that was really clutch, and he's the main reason why they won that game. Now, also, Cade Cunningham, he did miss a couple of free throws, so that also did help. But, Obviously. But, at the end of the day, Celtics won. They stopped the Pistons' win streak. So, congratulations to Celtics. Pistons, I really want to see more of them on national TV or on, Peacock or Prime Video because this team, I'm loving this team. You know, so that's all. I can't say enough about how much I want to see this team. Now, for the LA Lakers and the LA Clippers, the battle for LA, as I like to call it, or as a lot of people call it. Luka in the first half, man, 24 first half points, and he seemed to be the only one. He was carrying that team in that first half, man. And for the Clippers, we had James Harden. I mean, Kawhi was hitting some shots. Chris Dunn was hitting some shots. Wait, why is Rajon? Wait, Rajon Rondo a Bucks coaching associate? Anyways, Chris Dunn was hitting shots, and even John Collins was showing up. They were really showing up. I thought this was gonna be like, okay, well, the Clippers might actually like pull away from this. But the one thing I will say about the Clippers, though, like as much as good as they did, I don't think they fed Zubac enough because Zubac had a lot of mismatches, like Rui Hachimura or Jackson Hayes or Drew Timmy. Like he had mismatches. They had mismatches that they definitely could have taken advantage of, but they didn't, and I think that really is what screwed them over. In the second half, though, this is where LeBron really showed up and Austin Rivers showed up. I mean, they came up clutch, and Lakers came away with the win. Like I said, I do think that if Zubac played a bigger part, oh my goodness, Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Greek freak, you sir. Like I said though, I feel like if Zubac played a bigger part in this game, I do think that the Clippers do win. Now moving on, we have the Magic and the 76ers. Magic just essentially just beat up on the 76ers. I mean, like, the 76ers were dead, and they were still getting fucked. I mean, oh my goodness. Like, there's not much I can really say. I don't want to. I really don't want to talk about it because, like, it's not. Like, what am I going to say? Like, outside of Anthony Black having 30 freaking points. I mean, this man was going crazy. I mean, shout out to Anthony Black, dude. I mean, dude, bro was showing out. But this just wasn't a close game at all. Like, at half, it was 86-60 at half. So, and I'm like, you think, oh, well, maybe the 76ers without good of a team they are, maybe they came back. No, they didn't. No. I mean, I think it even got up to a 40-point game at one point. I think that's what the game ended as. So, it was pretty bad. Moving on to the Suns and the Rockets. Speaking of, I want to talk about the Suns first. Colin Gillespie, great job. Man, I mean, that dude was cunning. He was helping that team. He's helping the Suns stay in it. So was Devin Booker. Devin Booker, he had 18 points, but, he wasn't as efficient as you'd think Devin Booker would be. And I do think that if they could have won this game if Devin was a little bit better. Like, I do, but also at the same time, though, their defense was, like, the Rockets' defense was really hounding Devin. So, I will give him that. But also at the same, but also another person I want to talk about is Dillon Brooks. I mean, my goodness, man. This man right here. I mean, he was playing with his heart. He was playing with his heart on his sleeve. I mean, that's something that Dillon Brooks is always going to do. But, he was hitting post phase. He was getting in the paint. Like, this dude was, like, behind the backboard like this. And then hit the shot. I was like, that was kind of crazy, man. But overall, though, for the most part, though, like in that second half, though, Dillon Brooks went on a run by himself, and it seemed like he was the only one that was actually trying to keep them in the game for the most part, though. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Now we're gonna move on. This is Monday Night Football. This is Panthers versus 49ers. Panthers. Terrible. I mean, your defense got 3 picks off of Brock Mitty. And, I don't know how you don't, I don't know how you don't convert off of those. I mean, that's just very, very bad. The Panthers offense was terrible. Panthers defense, great job. Y'all kept them in it only for your offense to absolutely sell you. 49ers, that defense, good job. And CMC, good job. Y'all somehow won despite Brock Purdy trying his dang best to sell the dang game for y'all. I appreciate that. I don't understand it. Like how do you how do you throw 3 picks, man? It's like these picks aren't even 2 of these picks are his fault because he threw behind the receiver, man. Like it was absolutely atrocious, man. Just thinking about it's like, oh, goodness, man. Like they won this by Brock Mitty's best trying his dang best to sell the game for them. Going back to basketball, we got the Raptors versus the Cavs. First off, Garrett Temple is still in the league. That's it. That's all I want to say. Garrett Temple is still in the league somehow. Brandon Ingram, you sir are the closest thing that we will ever get to Kevin Durant as possible. I just want to let it be known right now that is the closest we will ever get to Kevin Durant again. The Notorious BI3, Brandon Ingram, you sir are crazy. 37 points. Ever since this man started dating Glorilla, this man been going off, man. No, I'm playing. But no, I mean but no, this was a great game for Brandon Ingram. I mean, also Scotty Barnes, he was filling up the stat sheet too. I mean, Scotty Barnes is a really great player. For the Cavs, Donovan Mitchell he wasn't on in that first half. I think that's what really harmed them in that second half. Is like, if he was on in that first, if he played as well as he did in the second half as he did in the first half, I mean, not as well as he did in the first half as he did in the second half, then, I do think that the Cavs would have won. But, everyone else, though, did step up in Donovan Mitchell's, kind of absence in the first half, though. But overall, though, this was a great game. But in the last 3 minutes and 30 seconds, though, the Cavs just couldn't get a single bucket. I mean, they couldn't score, and the Pacers went on. Not the Pacers, but the Raptors. They scored 7-0, and that ended up being what was needed for them to actually win the game, which is kind of crazy to me. Which you would think, oh, a 7-0 run won them the game, yeah. When you know what I mean. So. But overall, though, I did enjoy the game. I did have my fun with the game. Now, we're moving on to Sunday. First off, Sunday Night Football. Bucks versus Rams. Rams are Super Bowl. Rams equals Super Bowl. I don't care. You can't convince me otherwise. Matthew Stafford is the MVP. Devontae Adams is not washed. Puka Nacua, great. That defense, great. This team is Super Bowl or bust. You can quote me on that. You can clip this. You can clip it however you want. But this team is Super Bowl or bust. The Rams are going to make it to the Super Bowl. And you can quote me on that. It will happen, man. It will happen. Rams will make it to the Super Bowl. Matthew Stafford will win MVP. Now, for the Bucks. Prayers up to Baker Mayfield, man. He took his arm out trying to make a Hail Mary. That defense looked like heart garbage. Um, yeah, there's not much I can really say about that. Moving on to the 4:30 game, in terms of Sunday football, we had the Eagles and the Cowboys rivalry game. You know what I mean? It's always gonna be bad blood. Eagles, they get up to 21-0 lead. I mean, it's looking bad for the Cowboys, and then the Cowboys, not only does the Cowboys offense step up, but the Cowboys defense steps up. Cowboys offense scores 24 unanswered, right? The Cowboys defense, they step up. Don't even allow a single point in the second half. They cause two forced fumbles, multiple 3-and-outs, even a missed field goal too, which is all thanks to Quinnen Williams. I will say this. Quinnen Williams really has helped change this Cowboys defense. And it was even apparent in the Chiefs game, where the Chiefs didn't score from the second quarter till midway through the fourth quarter. So Quinnen Williams, Logan Wilson, and then DeMarvion Overshown coming back have really helped change this whole defense, and it's really been apparent. Now, the 1 o'clock games, we had the Vikings and the Packers. Vikings, get rid of JJ McCarthy, man. 9 needs to go. He needs to go. He needs to get up out of here and go. JJ McCarthy, 2 interceptions, a QBR of like 16.2. Do you know? I don't think some of y'all understand how bad a QBR of 16.2 is. That is obscenely bad. I'm sure I could have had a better QBR than 16.2. You know? But enough about the Vikings. The Packers didn't even have to do much to beat this Vikings team. They just had to be better than mid. And that's what they were. Moving on to the significantly better game, and Bears and Steelers. This was back and forth for a little bit, you know. T.J. Watt, you know, he had a strip sack fumble, and then it was like, that was really all they did. I mean, that was like really pretty much all he did. I mean, it was 3 at one point. There was 3 turnovers on 8 possessions. You know, the Steelers had a 21-14 lead at one point, and then they just kind of cooked. You know what I mean? Like, they had a 3-and-out. Then they had a strip sack. Then also, I think that was before that. It was one of the 3 turnovers where they had the ball, where it was on like a 3-and-1 or some situation like that, where the ball got punched out, and that really changed the whole thing. But overall, when it came to the end of the game, Steelers. What was that play calling that I saw from the Steelers was utterly atrocious. You know, like, I don't understand what that play calling was. And then also, on top of that, illegal formation as well on a Mason Rudolph run that would have gotten him to like the 42-yard line. That was just terrible. But we're done with the Sunday football. We're moving on to Saturday night football. First off, we got Pitt versus Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech needed this win in order to solidify their spot in the ACC championship. And you know what they did? The Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. They fumbled the bag, man. Oh my goodness. The Pitt went up 3 scores. Took a 2-score lead, and then had a 3-score lead at one point. And in the first half, right? First quarter, Georgia Tech is known for running the ball, right? They had -2 rushing yards and 21 total yards in the first quarter. It took them till midway through the second quarter for them for them to finally get on the board, for time to score a touchdown. They got to stop, got another touchdown, and after the what was it? After a pit score once again, Georgia Tech, they were, like I said, they were finally able to move the ball. They moved the ball down the field, and then Haynes King throws a pick six. And then it just didn't get any better for them. They weren't able to come back from the lead. Pitt really punched Georgia Tech in the mouth, and it really rattled Haynes King. Like you could see that he was physically rattled. He wasn't making throws that normally he would make, and it just wasn't a good sign. If you were a Georgia Tech fan, this was not a good sign for y'all. The fact that Haynes King, he did not play his best game. He's normally one that takes care of the football. He can beat teams with his arm as much as his leg, and it just, yeah, no. Moving on, Vanderbilt, Kentucky. Vanderbilt utterly destroyed Kentucky. At one point, Kentucky only had a first down midway through the second quarter. That should tell you a lot. So yeah. Then Miami versus Virginia Tech. This wasn't really a close game at all. Miami's defensive line was just too much for Virginia Tech's offensive line. They dominated at the point of attack. Kyron Jones was always like running for his life. I mean, I've never seen a black man run so much. Oh my goodness, why did I say that? We just gonna move on. But yeah, no, like this was a pretty bad game for Virginia Tech. They never really had a chance going into the game. But there was this one play where it was on a third down. It was an inverted whistle where Kyron Jones, it looked like he was down, but he wasn't down. He threw the ball up. It was caught by one of the Virginia Tech Hokies, and he took it for a first down, but it got called back because of an inverted whistle, which means the play doesn't count. There's really much all I can say positively about the Hokies. There wasn't really much to say. Now we're on to Friday. This is the last 4 games, right? We have the Rockets versus the Nuggets. First off, I do want to say prayers out to Aaron Gordon. He is out with a hamstring. He's going to get reevaluated in the next few weeks here soon. So hopefully the hamstring injury isn't bad for the best third option in the league. Argue with your mama about that, right? Anyways, this was a really great game for both teams. Reed Shepherd really stepped up. Ausar Thompson stepped up. Jabari Smith Jr. really stepped up for the team. They all had 20-plus points. I was very disappointed in how Sengun played. He only had 14 points, but he did have 5 personal fouls. He just wasn't playing well, and also Kevin Durant only had 13, which I mean, like KD, yeah, no, it just wasn't good for their 2 best players. But I do feel like that if Alperen Sengun or Kevin Durant has even a slightly better game, this is a Rockets win. But Jokic was doing Jokic things. He had 30-plus points. Jamal Murray, he had 27. Them two are just a crazy duo. So, but I really enjoyed the game. But like I said, I was just very disappointed in how Sengun was playing, because I thought he would have, played a lot better than he did. Moving on, we've got women's college basketball. The second of 2 games that I will be talking about in this episode, and it is Michigan versus the UConn Huskies. A.T. Fudd and Sarah Strong take on Michigan with Silas Sword and I forgot the other girl's name. Oh, I feel so bad. I feel so bad. But I forgot the other girl's name. But first half was all UConn, man. I mean, like, UConn was just absolutely dominating. Sarah Strong had a double-double in the first half. AZ Flush, he was cooking in that first half, too. And then I don't know what kind of pregame speech the Michigan head coach gave those girls, or if they drank Michael Jordan's secret stuff or something. But they came out balling. I mean, like they had some momentum going into the second half. They were starting to hit their shots in the second quarter. You know, what I mean, the shots was on the fall. They were starting to get in a rhythm and everything. But yo, in that third quarter, they turned it up a notch. I mean, UConn only scored 4 in that third quarter. I was like, oh snap, you know, maybe Michigan actually might win. You know, I mean, this is the same team that blew out, you know, Hannah Hidalgo in the women's fighting Irish. So I was like, oh snap, this is a legitimate team. You know what I mean? Because like, this is UConn. This is like the best of the best. You know what I mean? So, they had a great showing, but in the end, you know, UConn, that championship DNA, they pulled it out at like the last second though, because Stella Sword and it was Pascal Menace, she was just raining threes. I mean, like they had back to back. It was like back to back of the same play, same result, a 3, bang. I mean, oh my goodness. But so watch out for Stella Sword, man. She was balling, but yeah, I was like, oh snap, they really gonna do this. I was like, they really gonna win, but they didn't. But I was very impressed by Michigan. I will be, I'm actually more interested in seeing them now. So yeah. So moving on to the second last game, it's the Pacers and Cavs. Pacers were really led by Pascal Siakam, Andrew Nembhard, and Benedict Mathurin. Those three combined for the majority of the Pacers' points, along with, you know, TJ McConnell, they had 10, but like every other, those three had 25 plus. And the Cavs, all 5 of their starters had like 14 plus points. And it's kind of hard to beat a team when you're being carried by 3 people and the other team, all 5 of their starters have 10 plus points. Like it's really hard to beat a team like that. And it's just it's like no matter how close the how close Indiana got to taking the lead from the Cavs, you know, the backups or the role players, they just didn't have enough in them to actually take the lead though. And that's what really screwed the Pacers over. It's like no one else really showed up for them. So, but you know, but it was they, you know, Andrew Nembhard, Benedict Mathurin, Pascal Siakam. They definitely tried their best, but in the end, it just wasn't enough. They ran out of fuel. You know, what I mean, it ran out of steam pretty much. Like, you know, they ran out of gas. Get it? Because Pacers, pace car, ran out of gas. Laugh. No, I don't know why I did that. But yeah. Then the final game, USC versus Notre Dame. Last second shot from Hannah Hidalgo. But I will say this stuff. USC did have an 11-point lead at one point. I really thought they were gonna come away with the win, but in the second half, though, that's when Hannah Hidalgo she really turned up. She had 5 overall steals. She continues to be a defensive menace. Like she's constantly, or it seems like she's constantly getting multiple steals per game. I mean, De Jesus, she came up clutch with a couple of clutch buckets, and Davidson, Cara Dunn, JD Davidson, I think that's what's her name, for the Trojans. They were playing really well. But what really sent everything into, but here's the thing though. In the last like 30 seconds, Davidson had a wide open shot and she missed. I was like, damn. I was like, I knew when she missed that shot they were cooked. because they ran like an AI screen, which I don't know, look it up. I'm not exactly sure, but that's what the people called it. But basically, they ran a screen. Davidson got to the front of the round. She was right there. She put it up, and it looked like it was gonna be good. But you know how the ball bounces, like it's like, oh, it looks like it's gonna be good, but then it just misses, and it's like, when I saw that coming, I was like, oh yeah, they're good. So they call a timeout, and Hannah Hidalgo, she channels her inner Mike checks. She says, Katie Smith, allow me to have this dance. Now, she doesn't say that, but she's probably thinking it. She's like, Kenny Smith, allow me to have this dance. Hand in her face, right? Kenny Smith was one of the better defenders in the Big Ten too, right? She's got her hand up and everything. Like, good defense, just better offense. And it's Hannah Hidalgo, right? Rises up, 3.1 seconds left, bang, cash. She called game, and that was it. Yeah, great game. Hannah Hidalgo, like I said, she continues to be the defensive menace. Look out for her. So yeah, but that is every game that I have for y'all today. I didn't. There may be a lot of games that I did miss. Yes, I am human. There are only so many amount of games that I can actually keep my eyes on and actually talk about. So, if there are other games that you recommend me watching for the upcoming week, or games that you want me to talk about for the upcoming week, please let me know. I will try my best to watch them and get some notes on it. So yeah, but thank y'all for listening. Please like, comment, subscribe, share with some people. Yeah, but if you have anything that y'all want to say, do you have any critiques on me, please let me know. Comment it. Like I said, this is my first time ever actually doing a podcast. I'm willing to learn. Also, I know the camera quality isn't the best, but I've had a person come up to me like, you need better quality. I'm doing this off my iPad because I don't got that kind of money for a camera. So, please, gotta butter some slack. But yeah, until then, I'll see y'all next time. This is the Ball Podcast, and I'll catch you later. Peace.